Joining me now to discuss the experiences of yesterday's riots, Florida Congressman, House Judiciary Committee member Greg Steube, and also with me all morning long, Joseph Pinion and John Hilsenrath. Congressman, good to see you. Just describe what happened to you yesterday, what you witnessed.
So I got stuck in the middle of everything that was going on. I was on the House floor for part of the initial proceedings and then went out actually to go to the Republican leader's office. When I came out of the Republican leader's office, there was, I don't know, probably 20 to 50 uniformed officers kind of hedging a man wall in front of the House chamber. And they had instructed me that the chamber was closed. There was nowhere for us to go. Very early on when things started to happen, they wouldn't let us go back to our offices, which is what a lot of us were trying to do. So we couldn't get back to our offices. And I said, if I can't get on the House chamber and we can't get back to our offices, you guys have locked us in here. Where is it exactly you want me to go? So I got shepherded in with 3 other House members and 2 members of Capitol Police into a conference room off the side of the House chamber. Well, the hallway was on the outside of the door going into that chamber, and we had glass windows on the back part of that conference room. We had rioters banging on the windows, trying to get in on the back side, and then we had rioters trying to get in on the front side. We had to put a conference table up against the door to prevent people from coming in. We had to ride it out in there. A lot of members got out when they evacuated the House floor. We were stuck in there. We had to wait for them to tear gas that hallway to get the protesters out of that hallway so that we could then get out of that conference room and then get back down into the basement.
Right. You saw members of Congress with the gas masks that were pulled over their heads, which I think were put in place after the 9/11 terror attacks. But it had to have been terrifying, was it not?
Yeah, we have those on the floor. We didn't have those where we were, and I wasn't on the floor. I'm assuming people were telling members to put those on because of the tear gas. There was pretty heavy tear gas when we came out of the conference room that were in the hallways, because that's how the Capitol Police and other law enforcement that was there, they used that to clear the individual hallways and slowly clear the building of the people that were there. So it was certainly a time that I saw a lot of things going on. Our law enforcement officers did a great job. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about the safety and security of the Capitol complex after this. Right. How people were able to just push in the door, and hopefully we will learn a lot of lessons of how we can make this building more secure, because it clearly is not secure. And for them to get as far in as they got, early on when they breached the first door into the Capitol, I stood next to another law enforcement officer and I said, if they breach that, what's stopping them from coming here? And they said, well, there's several barriers from them to get to the floor. Well, all of those must have failed because they got all the way into the House chamber.
I know. We were seeing the photos yesterday. But following the riots, Congress reconvened in a matter of hours to certify the Electoral College vote for Joe Biden. Several lawmakers still objected to the election results. But, Congressman, how important was it that this still continued, this kind of this procedure that is part of our democracy? And you were prepared. You were prepared to object to the results, but you did not? Did you?
I voted for the objections. I didn't stand up and personally object on the floor, but I voted for the 2 objections. I signed on to 4 objections to Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Georgia before we went into the proceedings yesterday morning. But the only 2 that had a senator co-sponsor on the floor that required a vote were Arizona and Pennsylvania. I did vote for those objections because I do feel like there was very constitutional problems in those states. But what I am very glad to see, and I think it's an honor to be a part of this institution, the resolve that our leaders had to go back into that chamber after everything that occurred and continue the work of the people. I think there's a lot of people back home that are very inspired by that, and I'm very happy that all of our leadership decided to march back in there. The vice president was here the entire time, I guess, in the basement, and he was willing to come back out, continue the joint session of Congress, finish our work here in the People's House after what occurred. I think that's a great showing of resolve to all of the American people.
Right, and the Vice President, Mike Pence, defying public pressure from President Trump to invalidate Joe Biden's electors. And he released that very important statement yesterday that said that my oath to support and defend the Constitution constrains me from claiming unilateral authority to determine which electoral votes should be counted and which should not. So Vice President Mike Pence is standing up yesterday. Congressman Greg Steube, thank you so much. Great to see you this morning. Glad you're safe. Glad everybody's safe.
Thank you.